Hello, welcome to the program, Journalist Roundtable, or better put it, the DEX on Global TV. You watch us on DSTV channel 365, Star Times 276, and then we are all over the social media handles where you watch us every time of the day you need it. Of course, Journalist Roundtable, like any other, provides that opportunity to look into headlines that are trending in the newspapers or the dailies of the day. And then we'll add our voices into that for those who have not read them to get to understand basically what the papers are really saying. I simply urge you to be with us this evening on Global TV where we'll take you on this excursion. We'll look at issues. And then with me in the studio are reputable journalists that have been there on ground, writing, talking about issues at the national level. And by my right, or my left, a non-face, I simply call him Asiwaju, but of course he's Bode Badebo. He is an editor with the Leadership newspaper. It's a pleasure having you on the program.
Of course, my pleasure too, to be here for the first time.
It's been a while.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yes.
Of course, an in-house journalist. You all know him. This is Uyi Agbomofobe.
Yeah, you got the second and right, or the first time.
It's a pleasure having you on the program.
My delight.
Yes, I know you are familiar with some of these issues that are trending on the dailies in Nigeria. We thought with the effort being made by government to see how best, insecurity could be contained in this country. But at any step government takes, these people that we often describe them as evil forces, do the other way around. Unfortunately, people woke up this morning and then reading on the newspapers that close to about 30 or 40 killed or adopted in Niger State. And again, the federal government, particularly the president, is not so comfortable with that and simply ordered the security agencies, to go after these killers. And then again, the issue of tax law, it has been quite very controversial for some time, more essentially the one gazetted by the federal government. According to people who went through the gazetted ones, they felt that what the senators or the National Assembly passed is not what was gazetted. And then they created some kind of ripples inside the system, and some are saying we should jettison that and look into that. But of course, the National Assembly, particularly House of Reps, has decided to print out the original copy of what they passed in both Senate and House of Representatives. It's left for those who are criticizing to go through what was passed in the National Assembly and the one gazetted by the government, and many other issues like that. We shall be discussing them this evening. And so without taking much of your time, let me yield the floor to either of you to tell me basically this insecurity, how do we solve this problem?
Well, insecurity is not new. And I don't know how we're going to start talking about how to solve it today. At least...
We're finding ways in solving it.
Exactly. We've been talking about the fact that the insurgency started in 2009 when Yaradua was still around, and it festered under Jonathan. And because of that, a lot of people were actually pissed off with Jonathan. And they thought if he leaves and an ex-soldier take over, that will be the end of our problem. Alas, then the problem actually, showed up in a different dimension under Buhari for 8 years. And for a Tinubu who was watching from outside, he also believed, he has got his act right from outside already, just waiting for Buhari to leave. By the time he comes, he will just unleash his leadership skills and, insecurity will be over. But then, it was a disappointment too. Let me tell you, personally, I was disappointed when he first appointed his ministers. His first choice of Minister for Defense, it was a disappointment for me that, in fact, we are not on the track to solve insecurity. Picking the immediate past governor of Jigawa as Minister for Defense and the immediate past governor of Zamfara, who failed re-election for a second time as Minister of State for Defense. At that point, I knew we were not ready. Now, look at what happened. More than 2 years down the line, he said it was rejigging. The senior minister was asked to leave, and he claimed he resigned based on ill health. Now, they brought the immediate past chief of defense staff to be the senior minister. Has anything happened? You can say no, and at the same time, you can say yes. At least one visible thing I can see of recent is the collaboration with the US to strike terrorist strongholds in the Northwest. But is that all? Or will other follows in other parts, in the troubled part of the country, like the North Central, Northeast, which has been the epicenter of Boko Haram terrorism. So solving our insecurity problem is not something you come on TV to just talk about within 1 hour and go and say that is that. You don't even know whether government is even listening or not, or whether they are listening, but are they ready to even take your advice? A lot of experts, even security experts, not journalists like us, have been speaking every day on national TV. What have you seen? They keep telling you we are on top of the situation, we do this, we do that. Yesterday, sadly, Sunday, people at a local market in a village in Bogu local government of Niger State were killed, and the market burned down. The president, where he is in France, quickly issued a statement to say, I have ordered the DSS, the chief of defense staff, the minister of defense to quickly move in, make sure you arrest those people. And that will be the end. So what is our problem? I can tell you, politics has been the bane of our attempts to solve insecurity. Everything has been politicized. And when we talk about politics, we are not blaming the government in charge alone. Even we, the followers, we are also complicit, because for every incident we try to politicize. We try to say, this one is party A, this one is party B, this one is that. If all hands must be on deck, I can tell you we will overcome this. And how do we start? First and foremost, putting the round peg in the round hole. You have to start with that. The Minister of Defense, the newly appointed Minister of Defense, I want to believe is a round peg in a round hole. But that's not all. He has a partner, the Minister of State for Defense, who used to be his boss. Now, he is coming back to be the boss of the former boss. Can such environment foster the kind of synergy needed to solve insecurity as ministers of defense? Won't there be some kind of bad blood? Since the first man has left, why can't you just ask the second man who was there before this man came, I also give a space somewhere so that this man will have a free space to start afresh and do something? These are the politics we are talking about. Then, software, hardware for our security people, are they readily available? If they are readily available, the people at the front line, their welfare, mental health, social being, every other thing, are they catered for? The people fighting, shooting all the time, they don't see their families for years. Are we taking care of them? Do they have the right motivation to confront the enemy? Then do they have a superior weapon to that of the enemy, or the enemy is having superior weapon to them? The defense budget, is it corruption free or riddled with corruption? All these things, defense spending, how transparent? So a lot of gamut of issues must be put in proper perspective for us to solve insecurity. So it's beyond President issuing statement, I condemn the attack on innocent civilians. I have ordered the DSS to arrest perpetrators and bring them to the book. All those things are political statements. We are used to them for many years. The cycle of insecurity, until we all come together and say, hey, enough is enough. Unfortunately, people who are victims are low-level Nigerians. So nobody seems to care because it does not happen to the people at the top. But then, the people at the top are sworn to the Constitution, sworn with the Holy Quran and the Holy Bible, that we shall be responsible for the welfare and security of these people. So are they even afraid that they will account before God one day? That's even God, though, the year after. Then, the Constitution also have provisions that if anyone fails in his duty, this will happen to him. But politics all the time has beclouded all these things. And that's why we're not getting it right.
Wow. What's your take on this?
Well, I think it's quite a straightforward issue. I mean, Bode did an excellent presentation in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe we want to start from the issue of the mindset that even created this problem, the mindset that has sustained it, and the mindset desperately required to solve it. I mean, it was in this country, Topsy, in that very face, that Buratai himself, one-time chief of army staff, said to federal legislators that it would take 20 years to solve insurgency in Nigeria. I mean, as relatively young as I am, as far as Nigerian history is concerned, I'm waiting to see older folks, whether those in the corridors of power or those out of it, ask him to say what data, by what metrics did you get to that conclusion? Did you reach that point where you say, with authority, with some sort of unusual confidence, it will take 20 years. I mean, that was him putting a number to it.
I was in the National Assembly when he said
right.
I watched him live, not that direct.
So it's interesting. I don't know if the leadership of the defense and intel space in this country has asked that question, has made effort to say, let's look at the variables that got us to that conclusion, or that got Mr. Buratai to that conclusion. Now, when it has to do with insecurity, like was said here time and again, it's a matter of life and death. Because you're talking about human beings, you're talking about valuables. So how is it that we have come to a conclusion, at least by the assessment of one man, that it will take us 20 years to solve the problem? So that already, amongst other things, is indicative of the fact that terrorism or insecurity as a whole has been commercialized or monetized, if you like. And then that brings us to the issue of accountability. How do we track defense spending? Who is held accountable where there's an anomaly, where we go off track in terms of what we budget, what is released, what is spent, and what it is spent on? When you talk to people on the ground, off television, off radio, I mean, your head will practically spin with the information that is shared with you regarding the rot that is within the defense and security space. How do we solve all of those? These are internal problems. We must address those, otherwise we won't be able to tackle the issue of insecurity as we know it today. I mean, he talked about the men, the boots on the ground who are doing these fights. How do we look out for their best interests? They are first human beings. They are first Nigerians before they are soldiers or members of the armed forces. Who is looking after them? What is incentivizing what we expect of them? What is the reason they should go to war or continue to fight? We have to look at all of that. And then add to that the fact that fighting a war, prosecuting the war is expensive. Whether it is guerrilla war like we're seeing right now, or it is the conventional type, it is expensive. It will cost a lot of money. And for a country like Nigeria that is struggling with infrastructure development, trying to push an economy to a $1 trillion mark by 2030, it is all a tall order. So you need a lot of money for that spending. Plus, you need smart, forward-looking, visionary partnerships to drive this. Whether you're going to strike that with the US or with Russia, with China, it is left for the leadership to determine. But you've got to have that. Incidentally, along this line, the US stepped in recently. I would say, well, I mean, amazing move and all of that, even though the genocide story was controversial. But then the US did come in. The question is, were we on the same page with the US? Because till today, Mr. Gimba, there are people who still say that, look, the US had already struck before even the Nigerian authorities realized what had happened. It is debatable. We can subject it to some sort of academic, if you like, interaction. But it is debatable. Because first of all, Donald Trump goes to his Truth Social handle, and then he talks about the issue. He reports it, so to speak, before the Nigerian government moves, more like reactionary sort of initiative to now talk about it. All right. So the question is, how much of partnership is it partnership we have, or is this some sort of hegemony we're seeing from the US? We must be clear on all this because it has become sort of international politics at this point in time without removing what the US interest generally is in this matter. Of course, we see what the US has done to Venezuela, for example, and the motive has never been in doubt. The president of the US is unequivocal about that. It is the interest of oil in that country, and they are moving, he says, as quickly as possible. So could that also be the reason they are moving to Nigeria, or the stroke? We don't know. And then the question of what was the intel that made that determination to strike that point in Sokoto? Why not somewhere, I mean, the epicenter, to use Body's word, all right, which is Borno, somewhere Maiduguri, or somewhere in the northeast generally? Why did it have to be Sokoto, northwest Nigeria? We still don't know. Somebody had said...
But you know, they are human beings, they are not animals. They could stay in Lagos, carry an activity here in Abuja, and they go back.
Right.
So they might be in Sokoto and then go to Maiduguri, do whatever they want to do. They are human beings, they are not animals. So I can't question why Sokoto, not Maiduguri. And I think they use precision in carrying out. And before they did that, they must have carried out, you know, that's
something to Sokoto.
Yeah.
That was something to Sokoto.
Yeah, so
we might not be privy to it.
Right. Exactly. So I feel the question of attacking Sokoto, not Borno, I think it's just an idea of just saying anything. But of course, they must have really carried out a very clear surveillance before they
They do that strike.
But another question that often comes to my mind is that as soon as this thing occurred, I noticed the North Central appears to be the most hit. It is in Niger, it is in Kogi, it is in Benue, all of a sudden like that. Is it, as soon as it happened, they began to run away from the epicenter, like the way Bode put it, and then they found themselves in some of these North Central states. Otherwise, what really happened in just yesterday or thereabout in Niger State is again something I will need to really question very well.
I think, again, it's a reminder that we must move beyond the rhetorics of condemning the acts and saying it is unacceptable and so on and so forth. We must see action being taken out.
Yeah.
You can fight Donald Trump on many fronts, but one thing you can't take away from him is that he's intentional and he's very brutal with outcomes. He doesn't take his eye off the ball once he's resolved as to what he wants to achieve. I think that's the sort of approach we need to have with regards to how we fight insecurity. And governors must also now move beyond saying we're just the figureheads in terms of being chief security officers of our states. Governors must now also take initiative beyond partnering with the federal government to also look at what they can do from the grassroots. Because whether you like it or not, these people live in these places in real time. Whether you're talking about the ISWAP, you're talking about the conventional Boko Haram, or the Lakorawa guys, they all are on the ground somewhere. And now, even the president himself from Europe has said that these guys who perpetrated this very recent one in Niger State were the ones who had been hit by U.S. strikes, and they are now being dispersed.
Yeah.
That may be an explanation that is valid, but it cannot excuse the fact that people who are alleged to be running away from Sokoto are now still carrying out, these kind of attacks. We must find a way to nip into the bud. And we also said here time and again that one of the smartest ways to do that is to plug their financing, their funding, cut off their channels of essentials.
And that
channels
is to the sponsors.
Yes, exactly, through which logistics are supplied to them.
Yeah.
Because once that is done effectively, you're going to realize that this will be cut to its barest.
Okay. Let me find out from you, Bode. Why this military, at the time these American soldiers, hit that particular spot in Tangaza, I should have expected Nigerian army to get prepared by mopping as soon as the attack is concluded. They're supposed to know that indeed not everybody will be killed, if at all some people were killed. So they would have stayed at the fringes and be waiting for those who are fleeing, and then they will now arrest them or kill them, whatever they think they should do. But they allow them, as soon as these missiles began to drop, these people ran away, and the feeling most of us, including even the presidency, is saying the fleeing Boko Harams or the terrorists that have found themselves in some areas in the North Central, like in Niger and wherever in Kogi, that the ones carrying out. And then, to what extent can they say the war has been fought?
Then there is no success, because, like you said, that one of the reasons they are giving now is the fleeing terrorists are the one attacking
some of these states.
Target, and this speaks to issue of transparency and accountability regarding the collaboration between Nigeria and the United States. He asks a salient question. We need to know the level of Nigeria's involvement. Are we at the subservience of America, or we are taking the lead? Because this operation is taking place on our soil. Are we the one leading, they are helping, or they are the one leading us in our on our soil? And you begin now to doubt whether what the government is saying is not an afterthought. You said you provided intel to the US to strike a place. Conventionally, what I know is that when you're carrying out that kind of attack, proactively, you also lay ambush
That is it.
for people who might want to escape the attack, so that the mop-up operation.
Mop-up operation.
So what are we talking about? No such thing is happening. Now you are telling us that, the people killing innocent people now are the one running away.
What happened to infantry?
Thank you very much. So you are not telling us that the people killing innocent Nigerians are the one running away from the US strikes. So to what essence? How many people were killed in the first strike?
And
what's the essence of the success?
Sadly to say this, Bode, at the time when it happened in Kebbi, and then subsequently in Niger, this Catholic schooling, but by the time these people were recovered, I was expecting that the reports of these people that carry out that sadly are supposed to have been told that we caught them and we killed them. But we only saw the children returning without anybody saying that they have been arrested. So one cannot really tell whether or not it was just that they pay money to release, or what I cannot
really. Of course, government will never tell you to pay money to criminals. But we are sane human beings. We have our brains. You should know that there was a negotiation. Please don't touch those children. If you touch any one of them, it's a slap on us that we are failing. Give them to us complete. Whatever you want, we give you. But they will never admit. And you begin to ask yourself, these criminals, were they kidnapping for fun? Also, they came to town, they went to church in Kwara, they kidnap people, spend their own money to feed them for 3 weeks. They now carry them and give it back to government. So you know the truth. The Oyibo land that we are, these Oyibo people that we are blaming all the time, they want to come and take over our oil, they want to do this. For everything they are doing, one thing is not missing all the time: accountability. People are being told. Even this, the invasion of Venezuela. Did you see the pictures they released? How Trump and his cabinet were monitoring everything. And after carrying out the action, they came back to tell Americans at the press conference every process leading to the capture of Nicolas Maduro. So that's the difference between us and them. There is transparency there. We don't have transparency here.
And I can tell you today, no pictures anywhere have been shown that this is where it happened. I don't know whether you have seen that circulating in either whatever.
Of course, no.
Besides the details we hear, people talking about that, but honestly, I've not seen precisely pictures
of course,
showing that this is the...
Then they don't know that there are even greater implications for them.
Right.
They keep talking about trust deficit between the government and the led. Now, that trust deficit must continue. It must increase because I'm not getting what I'm expecting from you.
Exactly.
You are not protecting me. I provide my water, I provide my lights, I provide my security, power, my whatever, myself, everything myself, my health, myself. I pay tax, I do your bidding, you don't do mine, and you want me to trust you? It doesn't happen anymore.
I'm surprised that Gumi said he is being monitored. He claimed, rather, let me say so.
And he says it's in his house.
In his house?
Yes, that's safe as sound.
Not the monitor, they're trying to attack his house.
So
that was a target.
That his house was a target.
Okay, I think there was something about him reported wrongly yesterday that he was marked for elimination. So later we spoke with him. My correspondent in Kaduna spoke with him and said, no, that video was a 2012 video.
Can you imagine?
When he was talking about Boko Haram targeting him.
Okay.
Now he's not talking about America targeting him. But you know, because Nigeria, you know the way Nigeria is now. The social media is unregulated. The fake news is there. The deep fake is there. So nobody is monitoring anything. And I don't know why we have an army of gullible Nigerians. They don't actually source for information from conventional media like us. They go to that fake people. So that, you know, they want to whet their appetite. They want to read what they want to believe.
Right.
So the issue of Gumi is the old story. Even though he talks too much about things he is not supposed to talk about, but I don't want to believe he's a threat anywhere, it's a problem. And that's why the government is watching. If it's an issue, I believe government will not watch, but I don't believe it's an issue. But we just want to talk.
Right.
And talking, I don't think is
Is there anything Nigeria can learn with what happened in Venezuela with Maduro?
Well, whether Nigeria has anything to learn, do we have the same circumstances? No. You know why? What's between Venezuela and the US? Oh, narco-terrorism, smuggling of narcotic drugs.
Yes.
Then Maduro has been accused of terrorism, violence, whatever in the US and the rest of them.
And high inflation.
That's local today. That's their problem, the way they handle their economy. I don't think America has rights about that. But I also had Trump accuse him of nationalizing certain American business interests many years ago. So you want to make him to pay now in an illegal way. But then, this is not the first time it has happened. In 1989, you are aware of the Manuel Noriega. It has happened. That's of Panama. It has happened before. Now it has happened again. And probably it will happen tomorrow somewhere else. Then Libya. It was the US that helped Libyans to bring down Muammar Gaddafi.
Yes.
You know. Now, talking about what Nigerian can learn. Number one, I said we don't have the same circumstances.
Okay.
There is no issue between us and US saying, oh, you are aiding smuggling of heroin to US.
Right.
There's nothing saying, oh, Nigerian leadership is aiding gun violence in US. Nothing like that. But indirectly, bad leaders should know that there is another bully who is bigger than them. that can actually take the law into his hand and make them to do the right thing. Do you know, you see Trump doing something wrongly again, but he's using the wrong tactics to do the right thing. No. Somehow, I don't know if you are getting it. Using wrong tactics, illegal tactics to do the wrong thing. For example, now, if you back at Nigeria and say, if you don't ensure free and fair election in 2027, we will strike Nigeria. Has he done any wrong thing?
I don't really think so.
No, he has done two things, one wrong, one right.
Yeah,
now, telling us to do the right thing by conducting free and fair election is a right thing.
Yeah.
Threatening to strike us might be against international law.
Yeah.
But then, the citizens, what is their interest? They may not care about striking us. They may care more about having a free and fair election. In Venezuela today, Nigerians are angry today on social media. They are angry about Trump. But do you know what? Venezuelans are celebrating the ouster of Nicolas.
All over, wherever they are.
Even outside Venezuela.
Right.
Over the ouster of Nicolas Maduro.
Sure.
So how do you situate that? But this man there, everybody is accusing all over the world, you have done the wrong thing. Now the people that will be most affected are saying, for us,
we're happy.
This is the right thing.
Right.
Because the oil wealth in that country is not even used for the common man in Venezuela. A lot of corruption, but then people will say, oh, they should have their own homegrown way of solving their own problems. It shouldn't be somebody from outside. So I don't see Nigeria and US relation going to that stage. You know why?
Yeah.
We have a lot of diplomats in Nigeria who are helping to balance our image. And that's why up to today, you see European countries, they have voiced out. The Asian countries have voiced out to say, Trump, you have done the wrong thing. But Africa, none has voiced out to say he has done.
That's very, very surprising.
So why? That is another form of diplomacy.
Right.
That if somebody passes you, when you see him, you say, good morning, sir, and walk out.
For peace.
Sure.
Your peace of mind is better.
Right. But at least the presence of America in some given countries, like the way it came to Nigeria on the issue of insecurity, at least it has actually made us to sit up and know basically what we should do as a nation.
Like you said, I think it's a matter of sheer necessity, and it also aligns with the realities we deal with in world politics today. You know, one of the questions often raised in international politics and diplomacy is a rhetorical question, just to stimulate debate and all of that, is to say, is there really law in the international political system? Because we keep hearing people saying that it's against international law.
It's
and blah. Yeah, exactly. At best, it's just
abstract.
Because at the end of the day, how does Russia explain invasion of Ukraine to us, for example? We have to look at all of this. I mean, examples are replete across the world. All right. In 2011, the US entered Pakistan, took out Bin Laden and a few other persons, including family members who were with him in that house. Obama and his guys in the White House we're also watching, just like we saw Trump, Marco Rubio, and the rest of the
world. He was not an head of state,
yes, it was.
But another person saw it.
Exactly. I mean, territorial integrity.
Sovereignty. Recently, ECOWAS under President Bola Tinubu also threatened to invade Niger Republic.
And they talked about the standby force.
Of power.
Exactly, and all of that. So it's a matter of convenience. It's a matter of interest. Once the interest is there, look at the UN saying we condemn it like a bad precedent and so on and so forth. We're just going to talk shop as always the case, and then we'll move on. As if to make you understand better that it's not anything spectacular. The president, Trump, has said that, look, we are moving into, US firms are moving into Venezuela. Besides, we have now appointed the vice president, Rodriguez, all right, to be in charge. And people are asking, why not Machado, Maria Machado, the Nobel Peace Prize winner? And Trump says, well, she doesn't have the respect of our people. We want somebody who will do two things, essentially. One, earn the respect of our people, and then align squarely with U.S. interest. You know, just following the capture, if you like, abduction of Maduro, the vice president was talking plenty, talking tough and all of that. But the last 24 hours, we have seen 180 degrees that she has done. Because the U.S. factor is in play. Even those countries that are condemning it, if you watch, they're also doing that very strategically.
Cautiously.
Yes, it's not just something you do from emotion or impulse. You have to look at today, you have to look at the next 20 years. Yeah. You have to look at the interest that you and the US already have in place. You have to look at how the table can turn and things can flip in the other person's favor. There are several factors to consider. But you see, it's also a wake-up call for African countries, not just Nigeria, to rethink how they lead. One of the worst things that can happen to a man is for someone else to tell you how to lead your home. If America has to tell you how to lead, how to rule, what to give to your people, it will be a problem. Even though we say yes, they are using that as a front or as a pretext to invade, to plunder. But at the end of the day, does it not also, like Bode said, do two things? Use the wrong method to do something right. I think that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but if, in National Assembly, these talks have been going on concerning this tax law. When these bills came, there were 4 of them collapsed into one after looking into them, and they eventually looked into those bills and then made them to become what today has been signed as law for Nigeria. And the implementation is supposed to have started, 1st January 2026. But before then, cacophony of voices talking about that something wrong has been signed other than what National Assembly passed. I believe as an editor, you'll be following the trajectory of this document.
Sure. Well, as of yesterday, the House of Representatives, I believe, asked the management of the National Assembly to release the versions of the bills passed into law. 4 of them.
4 of them.
4 of them. Now, this is the issue. Where are they? But they say people are not even requesting, that you have to request and pay certain prescribed fee. So, for example, I'm interested in this as an editor so that I can get proper perspective to also inform the people by way of news reportage.
Yeah.
But now they say I must pay certain money, probably to make it difficult for me to even access it. How many people will be able to do that? Ordinary Nigerians should be able to even access
Go
it.
to a website and
without
download.
paying anything. So why would you say people should pay money for them to access? Number one, that's to make it difficult. Number one. Then number 2, there is no too much issue about the whole thing. It's the social media that is making it look too big. The simple thing is, a member of the House of Representatives, in fact 2 of them, one of them spoke at a plenary, then one issued a statement outside the House saying they've seen the copies of gazetted bills being sold by, is it National Library? Yes, National Library. And they are different from what they passed in the National Assembly. Meaning, certain provisions were inserted to the one gazetted, which will end up to be implemented, different from what they have worked on and remove what they feel are anti-Nigerians or not good for
not good enough
tax administration.
Yes.
Now, the government is saying it's not true. The National Assembly is saying, we have constituted a committee to go and investigate and get back to us. Now, because of all this Yuletide break, nobody is hearing anything. Then just yesterday, the House of Representatives said, we have released the bills for people to see the difference and the rest of them. Let me tell you, if you are not grounded in these things,
You will not know.
you will not even know what they are talking about,
Honestly.
because the devil is always in the detail.
Right.
So this is not even for ordinary Nigerians to decipher, to know. You understand? This is a very bulky and complex
Body of laws.
or document. So what is important is for us to come clean, the leadership to come clean, the executive to come clean about this, the National Assembly to come clean. Are you helping them to cover up anything against the people? Or the executive, is it doing anything underhand to make sure the people suffer? Why? Since you are there in trust for the people. So make this thing glaring. Like I said earlier, there's no need to pay any fee. Make it available. We don't need to reproduce, to spend money to reproduce and start distributing. No. Upload on a single website and ask people
To go there.
to assess between past and the gazetted. See for themselves, decide for themselves what is the truth and what is falsehood. But in Nigeria, we like to make a mountain out of molehill all the time. And I keep saying, social media is not helping us. Coupled with government people's inability to also communicate adequately government policies to ordinary Nigerians. Speaking English on TV is for people who go to school, who understand. Then there is another language for the people at the last rung of the ladder, for them to comprehend what you are talking about. But they go to TV every morning show, every evening political show, they begin to speak big English and say we have told them already, if they don't understand, they are anti-Tinubu, they are working against the government, that's why they are not understanding. That's not correct. Communication is a two-way thing.
In a general perspective, the entire gamut of this particular tax law, does it have anything that a common man can benefit? No matter the intrigues, interplay.
Yeah, the politics around it.
Is there anything at the end of the day, whether the one gazetted or the one not gazetted?
The concept behind the new tax law.
Can we help people like us?
You know, I mean, on a very lighter note, I was thinking, since we can be implementing 2024 and 2025 budget side by side, can we not just pick up both the harmonized and the gazetted side by side?
Unorganized people.
Exactly, just be. You see, that's the lighter note. The fact of the matter is, I saw something where Dr. Zaka Dedeji, the chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service, said that, well, what they're implementing is the gazetted version of the tax laws, not the harmonized version of the tax laws. Just like he said, it sounds sophisticated.
What does that mean?
It sounds too sophisticated.
It's the harmonized that is passed now. So it's not the harmonized must be the gazetted.
What's the difference? Is it like
I told you, they go to TV and
is it like the executive went to bring out some tax laws from somewhere else, or was it not the same ones that were passed by a combination of the National Assembly, I mean, the House of Reps and Senate, that was gazetted? You see, that is again subtly lending credence to the allegations by lawmakers that look, what has now been gazetted, what is out there in the public, what is being implemented is a far cry from what we have passed here at the legislature. So that in itself has a question mark on it. As to the question of whether it will benefit all Nigerians, you see,
not all Nigerians.
I mean,
ordinary Nigerians.
But you see, the thing is, reforms, for what I understand, I mean, policy-wise, have incubation process. It's not something that happens at a snap of fingers. It's not 2 minute instant noodles.
Sure.
All right, we must understand that. But for people against whom poverty has been weaponized over time, what do you expect? They don't have that luxury of patience to wait for things to cycle through and things like that. So there must be palliatives you're giving to them pending when things come to fruition. What we have heard essentially is that if you earn anything within the bracket of 800,000 per annum, you are exempted from paying taxes of any kind. Now we're even hearing it is a bracket of a million, I mean 1.2 million as it stands right now. But you see there's a broken link. The broken link is, like I told a superior earlier today, the National Orientation Agency probably does not realize it has a lot of work to do in this regard. One would have thought before, long before there was the passage, long before there was the assent by the president, the NOA should have been hard at work in every major Nigerian language, at least in Pidgin, in Yoruba, in Hausa, in Igbo, Efik, Edo, Robo, whatever. You do all of that. What is the challenge? Is it absence of visionary leadership? Is it paucity of funds? Is it that there's a if you like a dearth of ideas for somebody to be creative or innovative or forward-looking enough to know that these are things you should be doing? We have seen the last few months the Director General of the NOA running around and talking about insecurity, at a point even calling a press conference or press conferences. I'm wondering, between insecurity and this issue that touches the people directly across the country, which one should you be prioritizing? Leaving security issue for the military people to deal with. I mean, we understand top to bottom. The military, the police, they all have their spokespeople who have been trained in terms of military and comms as it has to do with insecurity. So you leave that to them. Your remit is to speak to the everyday Nigerian about these issues, because issues of taxation have to do with policies. Issues of policies are always very sophisticated. They're always elitists by their own very innate structure. So how do you break it down for the mama who is somewhere in a village doing a business that is probably not up to 500,000 naira, who probably does not have a bank account or a GSM or a mobile phone? So how do you get the message to them? Because they are part of the people who vote for you every 4-year election cycle. They are part of the people you are supposed to serve and lead. I think these are the issues we should be dealing with. But as is always the case in Nigeria, so you have a culture, a very bad one at that, where once you are appointed into office, your ultimate ambition is to be in the good books of the president or the governor, depending on who appointed you. So the people are not those you are serving. It is the person who has appointed you. Once you check every box with him. It doesn't matter whether you're serving the people, whether you're delivering on the mandate that's been handed to you. I think that's where we are right now. But the NOA must realize that This is a clarion call to say you must wake up to your responsibility. You must be able to take action, take initiative, enlighten Nigerians. Look at the issue of Naira notes being mutilated and all of that. It started, I mean, the NOA was never serious about it. At the point, the CBN was not even doing the job of the NOA. Those were overlaps that ordinarily should not even be in the first instance. So the NOA must work in collaboration with whether it is the Nigerian Revenue Service or the Ministry of Finance. There must be, in real time and in real sense of the word, interagency collaboration. It's not just enough to be appointed and you put up seminars and conferences, you drink water, read papers, speak English, you come to TV, talk a lot of things that you cannot substantiate, then the cycle continues. It doesn't work like that.
do you have any, because you've been editing such stories concerning the tax law, do you see anything that will favor us?
Like he said, one major thing is actually exempting people who are not supposed to pay tax from the tax net, which is not the case before now. All manners of taxes were there.
Right.
But now, these new legislations were there to harmonize Nigeria's tax administration system. So that this one will not be on its own, that one will not be on its own.
Okay.
So one major feature that ordinary Nigerian will love to hear is that if you are not making up to certain amount that is worthwhile, you are exempted. That's good. Now, a problem we are having on our hand now is the social media. I keep saying social media. If you go to social media now, people keep saying, oh, if you transfer money to somebody, they will tax it. And you have to include there that narration. It's for food, it's for this, it's for hospital.
Some are using hospital as
for gifts.
Well, you know, it's even not true. They are all fake news. It's not true. But then, you don't blame them.
Yeah, sure.
The people who are saddled with responsibility, I say so, he says so, that they have not been able to communicate adequately to the right audience, especially the man on the street.
Wow.
Not you and I. The man on the street, he needs the information because he has a phone with him too.
Right.
He can also go to social media and add to the layer of fake news, and the things will now become worse. So, for Nigerians to get a comprehensive knowledge or information about the whole thing, the government needs to come out and say, see the body of the law. Go through it. Is it true or not? And go through it to see what affects you and what does not affect you.
Wow.
But nowhere today you can find that body of law, except you approach the National Assembly, you apply, then you pay. Why should I? If I'm able to pay, will the man on the street be able to pay?
Not at all.
When it can easily be uploaded on a single site for all Nigerians. It's for our benefit. So nothing should be hidden. There should not be underhand dealing about it.
We just hope that those who are actually involved should know and understand what we're discussing.
Exactly.
And try to take some steps to ensure that we get to understand basically some of the issues that are there in this tax law. But let me just take the last issue. On the 1st of January 2026, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, while attending mass in his own constituency, the Reverend Father stood at the pulpit and preached. And at the end of the day, he now said he thought the Reverend Father was talking to him directly. And then he got up and addressed the congregants by telling them that all the litigations he has numbered about 9 or thereabout.
Against political
opponents. He has actually withdrawn them by calling his councillors, solicitors rather, to withdraw
the cases.
Yeah.
And you know, prominent among those affected is the Kogi Central Senator, Natasha Kuti.
But of course, I really appreciate that for the fact that he got up. That shows, the level of understanding that issues are not meant to be embedded in one's mind for a very long time simply because you agree with a particular person.
But I still have something to add. I want to believe that announcement was genuine. Yes, he's withdrawing the case from his heart. Some of the cases were not even prosecuted by him. They are being undertaken by the government with taxpayers' money. But for him and Yaya Bello, you know what? There was a case that they dragged Natasha to court for defamation against Yaya Bello and Akpabio. Or it's the government, federal government, that is doing that.
Through the office of the Attorney General.
Yes, I don't know if they can do that on my own behalf too. That you have insulted me.
We are yet to see that.
So I want to believe he has done that real, as in genuinely. You know why? It shouldn't be for the cameras, so that people can applaud him. Then they go back to the chamber and the woman is being sidelined. suppressed from carrying out our legislative duties.
Right.
So
We
are heading the fight. It should be genuine.
showing interest to, for that particular.
But the government has shown interest for him. The government has shown interest for him.
With these bags of complaints, allegation level against him of billions of naira taken away by.
That is a different ball game, and that reminds me. EFCC even spoke about that this morning on the national TV. People have been trolling EFCC about Yahaya Bello. Why are you hounding others? Shebi Yahaya Bello is there. This and that. So Wilson Wujarin, Director of Public Affairs of EFCC, was on national TV this morning saying, "See, Yahaya Bello can be treated as a saint in his party. He can be given position in his party. That is his party. But the case against him is still ongoing.
Wow.
EFCC can only wait. It has presented its fact. It can only wait for the court to decide. So there are two different ball games."
Okay. So, what's your view on that?
Well, I think...
Okpabio, getting up before, and then I would say that he has withdrawn all cases leveled against... Okay, he took to court rather.
Right. As of today, we don't have the capability to read people's minds, what the real intention is. But
But for the fact that he said
at least on the surface, it makes a lot of sense that you can now say, okay, on account of that sermon you heard, it appealed to your conscience and you thought it was the wise thing to do going forward with your other case. But it is disturbing to know that even the federal government could prosecute such cases on behalf of individuals, regardless of the fact that he's the president of the Senate and the other gentleman is a former governor of Kogi State.
He's a private citizen.
Exactly. As it stands right now, Yahaya Bello is a private citizen. No matter how much money he has, he was governor. He is not governor. Kogi State has a governor as it stands today, even though people say he's still the godfather over there. But the question is, will the same federal government do that for over 200 million people, 200 million Nigerians?
That's the question.
That's the question. You see, that's where inequity, inequality become a problem. People begin to vent, people begin to build up bad energy against their own government and the system. And then tomorrow you wake up, you're surprised that they're not patriotic. Why would they, when you have tilted the system deliberately? So I think those are the issues we're dealing with.
Quite very unfortunate. Well, to round off the program, on a lighter note, on the sad note, so to speak, the senator representing Nasarawa North in the person of Godia Osiki. He remains, were collected this morning at the airport from India. He died there at the age of 52. It's unfortunate.
Very prime age.
At the age of, he was a member of the State Assembly. Yes. From there, he moved to become a senator.
I think he was a deputy speaker also.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Then later he became a senator, and then re-elected again. And then as soon as he got the re-election, he took ill, and they flown to India for treatment, and they came back dead.
It's quite unfortunate.
Well, such is life. What can we do? It's painful for his family, his loved ones, those he leaves behind. Then, of course, the National Assembly, where he has served both chambers, those he represented till when he took ill. And
it was a state assembly. A state assembly.
The state assembly in Nasarawa. So, for me, I think the real issue is that it's a reminder about service. For me, I don't think it's so much about for how long he was alive. Yes, one would have wished he was alive far longer, especially for those who knew him personally, for his family members and his loved ones. But at this point in time, the only thing that counts is the impact he made, the legacy. We lost a former president in this country last year too, Muhammadu Buhari. And a few weeks later, people are fighting over his votes. It's 11 or some people say 12 million votes. but I would have thought the spotlight should be on his legacies. Who is going to sustain his legacy? What foundation was set up in his memory and things like that. It's just a clear indication of what our priorities are as a country, and we need to do some re-engineering on that.
Okay.
Godia Kwashiki, I think from the report I've read about him so far, he made some impact on his constituents and the larger Nasarawa populace. So for a long time, I want to believe that his memory will be fresh with them. Because I remember when he first came into the Senate in 2019, there was a drama about him that attracted negative publicity for him. But eventually he was exonerated, actually. He suffered injustice. Yes, I remember.
It was state managed just to make sure
to embarrass him. But he was exonerated at the end of the day.
I hope he survived it.
I hope he got justice before he died. But from the report I've read so far, he impacted his constituents. And I believe his memory will be fresh with them for a long time.
Amen. Well, that reminds me of a very well-known writer. That's Thomas Aquinas. He died at the age of 42. But his books are there for people to read. Generation upon generation. At the age of 42, he finished what he's supposed to have finished. Much more than the person who have lived almost 100 years. But he couldn't do that. at the age of 42,
He
he
achieved
wrote
it.
so many books till today we are reading about them.
That was impactful living.
Yes. Well, that's how far we can go on the program, Joys on Table, or otherwise we call it the desk.
Yes.
But I want you to be a regular face of this program.
It's my pleasure.
Yes,
It's
thank
my
you so
pleasure.
much. I was really thinking whether or not you honor the invitation when I first called you to tell you that you need to be here. But I know you, we'll be friends in the National Assembly. It's all that you have a very big schedule in the office. You don't always come to the National Assembly. But thank God you made it for this program this evening.
It's my pleasure.
Yes.
It's my pleasure.
And I wish you a very happy new year.
And you too.
You are my colleague. I appreciate you. Most times you help me to put things together.
Yes, of soft landing.
Yeah. Well, that's how far we're going on the program, the desk or the general roundtable, as you might get to know subsequently. My name is Topsy Gimba. I had with me Wadebo, Akwali Masiwaju, and Uyi. They are the ones who spoke to you on these silent issues we discussed this evening on this most important discussion. We shall come your way again with yet another package. Do have a very lovely time. My name is Topsy Gimba. I'm leaving the studio. See you. Bye-bye.